on. Welcome back to Choice Men, everybody. Happy 4th of July. Sam, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good. And we're going to let the fireworks rip, baby. Come on. Oh, yeah. That sounded good in this very echoey hall. Oh. It tastes like freedom.
It does.
But freedom isn't the goal.
Liberty.
Oh, dude, that's a good... I didn't even think about that. That would be a great segment. But we're not going to segment that hard. But yeah, happy 4th of July. As you can see, this is an interesting backdrop.
Yeah.
Because we're at the school/church/everything building for us. And thank you to Brianna and the school and Amy for letting us, well, not known to you, but we took your plants and we took some globes to
We will
make
put
our
them back.
beautiful backdrop, but we will put them back. You won't even, if you don't watch the podcast, you would never know what happened. So thank you for that. And yeah, we're here. It's going to be good. You guys will probably see us be recording at the church more often because I've got a new job, everybody. And well, actually, did we ever have a podcast episode where we talked about prior things? Basically, I got fired at the beginning of this year.
I don't think we did.
So that was-
We mentioned it.
That was pretty Choice. We at least talked about it at Choice Men, the group.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got fired at the beginning of January, and I've been working for my grandparents, doing more like handyman work. But I started a new job a couple days ago, and I am the TEC church assistant. So that came out in a field notes. It's not quite as relevant to our podcast, but I'll be here more, and so we will probably end up recording here more since I'll have more access to the building. We won't be taking globes and plants every day. We'll have some kind of set, hopefully, at some point. But yeah. So anyways, we'll obviously it is the 4th of July, and it's America's 250th birthday, and there's a lot that comes along with that. You know, the fun stuff, the cookouts, the fireworks, all that jazz. But America it's an interesting place. It's not a normal country. So we have states that are bigger than collections of countries in some places.
Yeah.
And that's not normal. It's not normal to have, Texas could fit, I can't even remember, but I think it could fit all of America plus, like, all of the American people could live in Texas, I think is what it said, like in a house. I can't remember how it all made it, and like the thing that we read. But
I've heard, I'm not even sure if this is true anymore, but I've heard that you can actually get everybody in the world to fit in Rhode Island and still have room to like dance in a small circle around yourself.
Wow, that'd be a lot of people.
Granted, everybody would be packed.
You can
Absolutely
fit
packed.
8 billion-ish people in Rhode Island. We should try that. Okay.
Right.
World, reach out to us.
Everybody meet up.
Yeah, world, reach out to us. I'm sure they'd get us more views.
Oh man.
That'd be cool. Mr. Beast is going to do that.
Mr. Beast would probably try that.
He'd
if
figure out how to do
he
that, yeah.
found that out somehow.
We should email him.
Everybody comment on his videos.
So, there are awesome things and less awesome things that come with being a weird country. So some of that is the discussion about freedom, and obviously we'll get to that. Some of it's about, who is an American. Reagan, I think it was Reagan, yeah, he had a speech where he was talking about, you can move to France and you can't become a Frenchman.
Mm-hmm.
You can move to Italy and you can't become an Italian. The only place you can move to and become that place that you've moved to is America. If you move to America legally, you can become an American. And that is, I think that's more the American dream that we've offered people I think people try to make it like, oh, the jobs and everything is the American dream. I think capitalism and the fact that you can move here and become an American, that's the American dream.
Right.
The idea that we are actually fully free, that's not true. That's bogus.
I mean, we do have a lot more freedoms than a lot of other countries.
We do have a lot
but-
more freedoms than a lot of other
but
countries,
it is, yeah.
but we still, have laws to abide by. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying like we don't have full autonomy like we still do have laws that we should follow, and that's good. And we have founding documents that we should abide by, which we're not doing in, the highest levels of our government. Well, even some local government, but for the most part, we don't have some of the freedoms that were established for us are in the process of being eradicated to some extent, but I don't think that's going to get very far because, I mean, that's always a funny thing where, there are gun guys who talk about, here's the thing, if somebody tried to invade us or whatever, and they invaded Texas, they're not making it out of Texas. I mean,
Right.
there's no way. You'd have to go somewhere else. You got to go to one of the coast places, but not Florida.
Right. Not
Florida people are crazy. Actually, North Carolina, South Carolina, wouldn't go there either. Once you get up to probably like New York.
You could probably invade California. I don't know.
Well, that's what I think you could invade California, Oregon, and Washington.
Yeah.
I think Washington, you might actually get hit with a weird amount of pushback because there's enough here that is rural. And most of the guys that lived here at the very beginning of Washington, they were lumberjacks. So
Right. Yeah.
you've got a lot of people out in the woods that you'd come across there and not going to be happy.
Yeah.
The thing about Texas, though, is their regulations on what you can own are a lot lower. So you can own a lot of stuff. Here, that is not the case. You have to get a lot of special licenses, and then you have to do special things. There's a YouTuber who owns a tank just at his house, not in Texas, in Tennessee.
Granted, he probably doesn't have. Does he have ammo for it?
He shoots it on his property.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works necessarily, but that's cool. You don't go to any other country and people have tanks. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't work like that. And so again, we've got great things. We are to some extent losing some of those great things slowly, or at least people are trying to take those away. So we should obviously not do that. Freedom isn't free. That's a line in a lot of songs, a lot of things that have been written. That is correct. We've had a lot of men and women die for our country, and we also still have ones who haven't died, and that's fantastic. Thank you for your service. But America is like the foundation is work. That doesn't mean blue collar work. There is a lot of blue collar work that keeps America running, but there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of capitalism, like capitalistic ventures to get into, but America was founded by guys who were hard workers, who wanted to bring about a better thing. They were educated. And that's a big difference right there. If you want to look at just one difference between our current generation and the generation that founded our country, they were educated. That's a big difference. People have always been opinionated, but if you're uneducated and opinionated, that's a bad combo.
Which actually, I thought it was interesting because I've been listening to a show where they interview lots of veterans of different stages of American war history. And a lot of the officers were actually sent, like, before they became officers, they had to go to an actual school and get, like, college degrees and stuff. Now, obviously, a lot of that would be geared towards you actually becoming an officer. But you do, to get higher up in the military, apparently you do have to go to school and learn some stuff, which is actually kind of cool. Because, unless you get, like, a field promotion or whatever. But... like that's a good standard that we should keep, even with just like a lot of people. Like, yeah, That's one thing I've thought about sometimes. Like, way back in like ancient times, the leader of a country or whatever, the king, like half the time, most of the time, was a really great warrior himself. Now, would he be on the front lines killing everybody? Not all the time, no.
Sure.
But like, yeah, and like nowadays, the leaders of countries seem a lot more like a politician type.
Yeah.
Like you're not out there fighting; you are directing a lot of stuff. I mean, that's a different kind of burden and the different world we live in. But
Yeah. Yeah, I think Trump's a good example of somebody who has a little more of a fighter spirit and a little less of a politician spirit. And I think that is because Trump is first and foremost a businessman, meaning his kind of war is negotiation. And that actually is a big piece of war. And that's a big piece of conquering is, well, I want what you have. So let's make a deal. Now, does that mean starting a war? Maybe. Does that also mean not backing down, having a backbone and saying, no, this is what we want, this is what we're getting, we're going to get it. So you can either, I mean, this is what he's doing with Iran. Like, here's the thing. We're going to bomb the crap out of you unless you do so and so. So the negotiation list of things, that's either you do this or we will continue to make your life even worse. And, Iran's got a backbone too, and they've been trying to see how far Trump's going to go. But that's a bad plan. Anybody that's done that so far, that's not worked out. Trump is not backing down. Here's the thing. We've got the greatest army in the entire world. I'm sorry. Do you know how big our Air Force's Navy is? Our Air Force's Navy is bigger than most people's Navy.
Right.
That doesn't even make any sense. Our Air Force's Navy is bigger than other countries' navies. That's weird. So we are I think, because Trump knows that America has been considered kind of like a global superpower for a long time. I think one of the things, though, that we've kind of lost over, I don't know, kind of feels like over the last 10 years, is some of the we are a global superpower type attitude. And Trump is really big on making that clear to other countries. No, we are a global superpower and we're going to use our superpowers.
We're not a stuffed animal that you can just push off the bed.
Yeah, there is no touching of this bear without repercussions. Now, that does mean that he's getting a lot of pushback because there are people who want America to be still like a global superpower, but not in a militaristic or in a capitalistic way.
A mean way.
It's in a, we should let everybody in here. So a global superpower, but more like we're already a melting pot. But I actually don't really like that description because the point is you can move here legally and become an American citizen.
Right.
And then you are become an American, not because an American is not somebody who is English,
right,
first and foremost necessarily. They should be. I think if you move here, you should speak English like that. I mean, and Trump is saying that. Like he just declared English the language of America, which actually I saw somebody who said what he should do, which would really piss people off, is he should say, you know what, I'm declaring that American is our language because we actually don't really speak English.
It is different enough that I think you could.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like calling the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Like, that is unnecessary and totally awesome.
Right.
He doesn't really need to call it American, but I saw that, I was like, that's kind of funny.
America.
But yes, I think there are dangers currently with the way people are talking about America and want America to be, which is more of a let everybody in, this is what we are. That's actually not what we are. We want people to come here if you want to be here and abide by our laws.
Right.
Meaning you need to come here legally, and we have systems for that. We have tools for that. But the illegal piece and people trying to claim that is good, that is socialism. That is socialism and communism and everything that doesn't ever work. There's never been one time where communism and socialism have ever worked.
I think another thing about like people moving into the country is like some people don't understand that when you're joining a country, it's not that the country is the only thing in the bargain with you moving in. Like you're coming to receive a lot of stuff from the country, but you're also moving in to give stuff to the country as well.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole
Not be a leech.
like this is how I mean community, state, like all that works.
Yeah.
And some people don't understand that. But yeah, I mean that's just one thing with people who are like that. Like, oh, we want to be accepting of everyone. We want to like import them in because like we are nice people here. And I mean, sure, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean it is
problems with that.
Yeah, like they not wanting to give back to the country, like so. And this is something that was interesting in omnibus class when we would read anything Greek. In Greece, and particularly in the time frame like Homer was writing it, the idea of hospitality, and I actually still think hospitality like in foreign land is different than it is here. I actually have something to say about that though, about the World Cup, which is interesting. So Greece, like the idea there was like you being hospitable is not just the host job. You actually can be a hospitable guest to your host as well. And it's kind of like you coming to live with somebody and then expecting them to do everything for you.
Right.
No.
Well, because also sometimes in some of those Greek stories, like if the guest was not going to accept whatever gifts was given to them, like
Yeah.
the host would be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, come on."
Well, I mean, there were guys who were, at least in Homer's books, there were guests that,
Also, just trampling on the.
yeah, and I mean, and died because of it. So there, hospitalities, that's probably a bit much, but there are definitely, there's things learned from that. I think it's interesting with the World Cup being in the U.S. this year. There's a lot of people who have come for the World Cup, like a lot of people. And that meant that there were just not going to be enough hotels. I mean, there are enough hotels, but there's also enough people who said, you know what, people can stay with us. So there are people who are staying in other people's homes for things. And then also, all the Americans were like, well, what we're going to do is we're going to post on the internet for all the people who are coming over. We're going to post all the places we think they need to go.
That's nice.
And all the things they need to do. And so then all these foreigners are coming in doing this stuff. So like there's people in Japan, from Japan and Texas eating barbecue, and they're like, oh my gosh, this brisket is so good. And they've never had that kind of food before. And then there are guys, there was an Italian guy who found out about free refills for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, he couldn't believe it. He was like, I could have 1,000 of these. And the guy's like, yeah, you could. You don't want to have 1,000 of them, but you could. He's like, but I could. And that
reminds me of a guy. There's a Mexican guy. Maybe you showed me the video, but he's like, I got to the restaurant and there were just tortilla chips on the table. And I was like, tortilla chips? And the waiter's like, yeah, they're free. They come with the meal. And he's like, what? So he just ate all the chips. And then his buddies were like, okay, settle down. You're not going to have room for the food. He's like, but I could not stop.
Yeah.
Because they just kept coming. They were free.
Yeah, I mean, that's a small difference. I mean, like Buc-ee's, which is in the South, and guys who've never had Taco Bell.
Right.
And I mean, there's any variety. Baseball. I mean, Japan, they have baseball, but they don't have our baseball. They've got Japanese baseball, which is good. And there's a lot of good players from there. I mean, so Shohei Ohtani,
Right.
for example, greatest probably player of all time.
He's pretty good.
I didn't say that out loud.
He should come play for the Mariners.
He should come play for them. We don't have the money for that. That was a discussion for a while, though. That literally, there were talks of, we're going to get Shohei Ohtani. And I'm like, that would be so cool. And that's not going to happen. We live in I mean, we live in freedom,
Hmm.
but, and this is kind of more of the pivot. Obviously, it took us 20 minutes to get to the pivot, so buckle up. Actually, hopefully it's not going to be that much longer, but we live in a place that's got a lot of freedom, and I think it's a good exercise for you listeners to think, what does freedom mean to you? And how do you view freedom? Because Americans generally seem to look at freedom like it's a thing to worship. Like freedom is the thing that keeps us going.
Right.
Or freedom is what you're living for, or like what it gets you. Like, what does freedom mean to you? Also, then ends up meaning what you're going to get from your freedom. What are you going to do with your freedom?
Makes sense because also in like some older paintings, like people would put in Lady Liberty, and not I'm not talking about the statue, though the statue does represent that a little bit. But like it was an actual lady that they would put into paintings that is helping people along and whatever, like charging in war, or there are a couple different ones, but
Yeah.
and paintings like that, especially like during the Renaissance and stuff, were like, if you put in a symbol like that, that kind of becomes like the idol, the god of whatever that is going on at that time. So like, because with the Renaissance, it was kind of like what man can do.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of like, there was the sculpture of the guy tearing himself out of the rock.
Yeah.
There was, and there's a couple things like that. And so like with Americans, yeah, the freedom being what has brought us along. Which then is an interesting thing of trying to tie together, like, oh, well, we are what gave ourselves the freedom. So we're also trying to tie it to ourselves and kind of idolics.
And it's almost like you're trying to get now, like freedom, the idea of freedom was more from tyranny at the beginning. Freedom now is still, like I kind of messed around with Claude a little bit, and Claude had given me the idea that like Americans worship freedom from constraint. So like you've got these things that are oppressing you. But now, I mean, the tyranny, there is some tyranny in government still. It's different than the king was in England for what then became Americans, but it's not like freedom is not the goal. I know that's the title of the episode, but freedom isn't really the goal, because scripture calls men to freedom for obedience. So if you've ever heard of Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, he's a leadership guy and kind of like a motivational
Speaker for crowds.
speaker, but he does more writing, I think, though. He talks to businesses, though, and stuff like that. And one of his books I've read a couple times, which is Discipline Equals Freedom. The idea that you get your systems dialed in, you get your work done, what you need to get done. You then can do the other things you'd like to do. But it's you getting your priorities done first allows you to have more freedom to do fun stuff. That seems a little counterintuitive, like, but that's not freedom. You're right, because the discipline piece is going to give you more freedom down the road. Right. So like our soldiers dying for America. I mean, the war for independence. That's actually a great one. It's all in the name. The war for independence.
Right.
Well, there was discipline and there was work and there was sacrifice that went into there being freedom to continue doing more work. And I think that that's a thing that, men in general in America could do a better job of, which that includes us.
Yeah. Well, and another piece to that is like discipline is not tyranny.
Yeah. Because of self-discipline.
Because,
Well, actually, even correct discipline from real authority
Right.
is not tyranny either. And I do think that that's one of the things that some of the people who want America to just be open for whatever don't like about Trump is Trump is assertive and Trump is trying to hold the line on some things. And people are like, well, that feels tyrannical. No kings. Well, Trump is so funny though, because he, after they had the King of England over and everybody was clapping for him, all the liberals were like, oh yes, King of England. Yeah. He was like, if I was a king, I'd be getting a lot more work done. So he's like, I don't even understand why they're calling me a king. He's like, if I was a king, we wouldn't even be having these discussions.
Right.
We'd be talking about other things because a king does have more direct power.
You get.
So Trump is being held back by the checks and balances system, which I'm thankful for, and also not
Right.
thankful for in other times
I mean-
because some of it you're like, I'd love him to be able to just start working on that.
Yeah, that is because that's one thing. Because if he did have all the freedom, like he'd get a lot of good laws out real quick.
And also probably get some
And
stuff we wouldn't like.
Couple things that are like, well,
At least a couple.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's another thing because like with like disciplining of criminals as well.
Man, Florida.
Which some people also view as tyranny. And so
Yeah.
they try to get criminals to have special rights when, in fact, criminals have their citizenship revoked for, as long as they're in the discipline stage of being in prison or, whatever.
Yeah.
And people also don't get that.
Yeah.
But, and like, I mean, yeah, for young men, discipline is not tyranny. And so if you view discipline as something to work against, like that doesn't really help. In one sense it does because you kind of feel like you're kind of working against yourself, which in some ways as a young man is great and in some ways is not great.
Yeah. Well, the elder qualifications. A man isn't free until he's essentially mastered himself. So, the idea that the elder qualifications, the main one that kind of determines, well, are you ready to be an elder? Well, do you want to be an elder? All the other qualifications are just what guys should be acting like to begin with. And I said that kind of flippantly, like it's easy. That's not what I'm saying. It's hard, but there are...
Keep your household in order.
Yeah.
Husband to one wife.
Yes, I mean, we should be acting like that, but like the household in order piece, that takes a lot. But like doing what you want and doing what you're made for, doing what you're supposed to be doing is actually freeing because obedience is freeing.
Right.
When you are disobedient, what do you get? You get discipline, you get constraints, you get more locked down. People think that being a rebellious disobeyer of things makes you more free.
Or more American.
Then that's not actually true because that's not how we were founded. So we split from England, not because we were like, it'd be cool, it'd be rebellious, as if we just were like, we don't like
Anarchy.
this. Yeah. Anarchy did not found America.
That's a great juxtaposition of the French Revolution and the War for Independence.
That was not even close.
It was not. But you guys know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because with America's revolution, we split away so that we could have good laws and actually hold ourselves
So that we
accountable.
could have another system of laws. Yeah.
Right. Versus the French Revolution, which was no God, no masters,
Yeah.
get rid of all these laws, and we all know how that
Which
ended.
also, we fought over like one thing in particular, which was taxes.
Right.
So
Well-
it wasn't even, I mean, there were some other things too, but like common
it
sense,
wasn't-
it didn't even start with war.
Right.
We left England before there was a war. The war happened once we had already established the colonies.
Right.
So,
Which
it's so crazy.
Which we're British colonies, and we were paying taxes that were going to Britain, and that was fine. And
Yeah.
it was just the wrong kind of tax. It was
Yeah.
like, I like there was a
But it's kind of more like the final straw because I'm pretty sure common sense was written before Yeah, guys, this is why we need a fact checker. So if you want to work for free, let us know.
There is no compensation for your work here right now.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome, but not right now.
yeah, but we can't. Relation to. I should probably know this, except we don't read it, so I don't. Oh, okay, interesting. So Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense during the winter of 1775 and 1776, right at the start of the American Revolution. It was.
Yeah, so before the Declaration was signed and everything too.
Okay, so I was wrong because I thought that this was written while everyone was still in England.
Oh, like
But that is
like
not-
the 70s or even before.
Yeah, but even though the point of this book, this little pamphlet, it was written at the king.
Right.
To say, hey, use your common sense here and don't tax the people over this. King didn't like that. King didn't like a lot of things. And at that point, I do think that if you try to put yourself in the mindset of a king, and that's happening to you, it would seem pretty easy to go into America, which is the 13 colonies, which are, again, British colonies, and take them over pretty easily. That's what you would think. However, this is where the Second Amendment turned out to be pretty useful. The militia beat what at that point was the world's greatest army power.
Right. We did have a little bit of help, but like from people who were willing to also fight for freedoms.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't think we would have had, like, the only reason that we got any help was because we had militias. So that's like, we had people who were willing to fight for what they thought was correct. And that is, what is really unfortunate is it kind of feels like that is what the left has, and we don't. Because the left is just, they seem to never run out of energy. Maybe it's because it's powered by Satan. I don't know. Not that all liberal people are, like, not that all Democrats are Satan worshipers. That's
It's
not
actually really funny because there are some Democrats that do actually enjoy Trump, and they're like,
yeah. Well, because, and I think that because the distinction has now become less about Republican and Democrat, they're lying when they say that that's what it is. It's not that anymore. It's middle of the road, sort of like, let's get these kind of like pretty even keel laws in here because, and the reason, and most of the guys that are in the middle are business guys. And they know that what is good for business, what's good for them keeping most of their money, is in the middle kind of.
try to pander to the most amount of people.
Yeah, it's policies that are in the middle somewhere because that helps them keep. Trump wants to keep his money. He wants to make money and keep his money. That's what Trump wants. Elon Musk, this is also the reason that he moved into the middle as well. He was a Democrat as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reason that RFK moved into, well, RFK Jr. moved into the middle as well because he realized, oh, well, I'm not that extreme. And Trump calling it the Common Sense Party and not the Republican Party, that also was him disassociating from the far right. So there's like three, if we wanted to say there's three parties, there's the far right, the far left, and the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like we're on a single lane road and there's two ditches on either side, but the road's pretty narrow. And we've got people who are flinging themselves into either side of the ditch,
Right.
which is not helpful because the right actually hasn't done, I think the right thinks, oh, well, what would benefit us is if we just kind of hung out over here and didn't fight necessarily for what would be good.
Drink our whiskey and
Yeah, and just kind of disappear. Okay, well, here's the thing. The far left is not going to disappear. They're not disappearing. In fact, they are growing. And I mean, the other thing, they are going to end up killing themselves off with abortion rates eventually, but that won't be for.
Unfortunate way to go, but
Yeah. And that's not like the people that say, we'll just outpopulate them. We'll have babies more than they will have babies. That is correct. And that is a long-term, that is a very long-term solution. And that actually still allows for the bunkering down and hiding.
right.
Just we'll just have kids. We'll just raise our families quietly. We won't get involved in too much
That'll
stuff.
take like 40 years.
Probably longer than that.
Longer.
Because because public school. The school systems is what is going to make that really hard, because there are still people who are having kids who don't freaking care enough to give their kids the right kind of education. So then you've got 15, 16-year-olds who, they're younger than we are.
Right.
Unless they commit suicide or have some kind of unfortunate accident, they're probably going to be around longer than we are. Meaning they've got young energy. They're out there protesting for stuff they don't even know, but all they got was this propaganda at school that this is what they should be doing.
Right.
Well, that's not good. There are people who are still going to keep having kids. You actually can't just use that as your only thing. What has to happen? Policy changes. So this is why Trump is a great president, and this is why if we can get J.D. Vance into presidency in 2028, that would be fantastic. And the left's going to have a really hard time finding somebody else to put up against him. Because Kamala, where did she go? Disappeared, gone. Just completely out of the picture. Because she messed up. Mm-hmm. And this is how the left treats the people who get up there is, you mess up, get out of here.
Forget about them.
Yeah, we're not supporting you anymore. Because here's the thing, Kamala didn't have any money. Kamala had money from donors. And the donors who are running all those organizations that are supporting these people, if they quit supporting you, you ain't got nothing. So you can't campaign anymore because you don't have the money to back it. Kamala doesn't have the money to back it. So she's out. This is why Trump is really a powerful politician himself. Trump has a lot of money. And a lot of money is what is useful currently in politics to be able to campaign your way more, get more advertisements, and also, because he's a businessman, he knows a bunch of people. So he knows people everywhere who are going to back him too. So he is just backed through the teeth because he's got connections and he's got money. That's kind of the hard thing for Kamala, and honestly most of the left candidates, is they themselves don't usually have a lot of money. They get back. This is why Trump in 2016, when he was debating Hillary, which was hilarious, when she was like, here's the thing, guys, he's using all these loops in the tax code and he's cheating the system and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, yeah, because I'm really good at it. And he's like, and you know what else? You should be thankful for the tax code because all the people who are backing you are using it too. And then she had nothing else to say. Just dead silent. Because that's correct. So Trump is playing the game the way that the game is intended to be played.
Right.
The tax code.
Just how it's set up.
Or how it's set up. Yeah, I mean, sure. Is the tax code intended to have all those loopholes?
Not necessarily.
Probably not. But maybe, because who wrote the tax code? The government.
Yeah.
So that's a correlation. The government is trying to figure out, okay, what are our loopholes? How do we get the most money? Because we're a capitalistic.
This ain't working.
because we're a capitalistic society, and so everybody here is going, well, how do I get the most money? Where's the money? Well, there's a lot of money out there. Now, the other problem with our government is that we just keep printing money into somehow more and more debt, and Trump's actively trying to get us out of debt. And that's going to be tricky.
We got rid of pennies, but that ain't working.
Got rid of pennies. That hasn't fixed our financial situation as a country, getting rid of the penny.
No. I still have a lot of pennies at home that
Should sell them for big bucks.
I probably could.
Probably not.
Get some old pennies.
How many pennies do you have?
Sell a penny. I actually have no idea.
Just give me a random number.
Maybe $3 worth of pennies.
Then you're getting $3 for your pennies, probably. You'll get 3 crisp $1 bills. Maybe 4.
Maybe
They might have gone up that much in value. You never know.
if each penny is worth 2 pennies.
Mm. Well, then it would be.
It's a weird thing to say.
But if 1 penny is worth 2 pennies, then you've got $6.
Yeah.
There's compound interest there, buddy. That's actually, that's not compound interest. That's,
It's just the rate or whatever.
guys,
Rate.
clearly we're really in depth. Like, we're in deep in the finance area. We're not. So anyways, the idea, again, coming back to freedom as something that comes from obedience rather than you're looking for freedom outside of all the other work you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good distinction. You have to be, you yourself need to be doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing. You need to be obeying Christ. You need to be obeying your parents. You need to be, doing the work you're supposed to be doing. That is freeing for your soul.
Yeah.
And that is freeing for the rest of your life.
Exercising your freedom means going to work every day.
Yeah. Well, because going to work offers you freedom outside of that. So, for the students that we have, because again, guys, trust us, we're going to get the student summer series going here at some point, eventually.
We got less vacations coming up for both of us. So
Less vacation.
more time to actually do stuff.
That's right. For students, do your homework, obey your parents, respect your teachers, and more responsibility, more freedom is going to come to you from that. Don't look for the escape from your work. There's something like I have to work on. There's something that, everybody has to work on. But don't look for the escape from your work, because the freedom comes from you doing that work with a joyful attitude. You obeying is freeing to you. And you are not free to obey, actually. You are commanded to obey. So you're not actually free to do whatever you'd like. That's not what freedom is. Not you're free to do whatever you'd like. Freedom is I feel what I'm thinking. I don't necessarily know exactly how to say it, but it is a gift, and it is limited. In terms of America, I think one of the biggest freedoms is capitalism, and you can do whatever you'd like. You can be a content creator, you can build businesses, you can work a 9-to-5, you frankly don't have to work either. You could go like at a real job, like you could go, you could be a farmer, you could buy land, you could be a farmer, and then at that point, you still would need to make money, but you can kind of like homestead a little bit. So you could spend less time with the people. You could do that. And you're free to do that here. So it's liberties. There are liberties and there are licenses. And a license is somebody is constraining you actually to say you're allowed to do this. Liberty is, well, you go figure out what it is. So we are actually at liberty to worship who we'd like to worship. We are not licensed to worship. We have liberty to worship. You are actually not at liberty to obey to some extent. You are kind of because of free will, but you are more actually because you're commanded. That is actually a constraint. You do actually have to obey. You can't get out of that.
Right.
You can disobey, but eventually that's going to constrain you so much that it'll crack.
It'll catch up to you.
Yeah, the pressure does stack. So again, for students, and now in the summertime, you have more liberty rather than license. At school, you've got more license than liberty. In the summer, you've got liberty. So what are you going to do with it? At that point, you kind of can, not that you need to start a business. I'm using capitalist in a very, very broad sense. You can capitalistically look at your summer and go, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to produce and build? What do I want to give back? that's great. If you want to go work a job, work a job. That's great. If you want to create something, you want to build something, we'll build something. Do that. Talk with your friends. Get more edified. Like, there's lots of stuff to do. So again, doing what you want and doing what you're made for, one of those is supposed to come first. And also, you should get your wants figured out. This is why ordered loves is also important in the freedom context, because if your loves aren't ordered, you're going to look at freedom in the wrong way.
Right.
So if I don't love my job, if I'm not actively working to love my job, then I'm going to look at freedom as whatever is not my job is what I'm free to do. Instead of, if I'm working to love my job, I'm going to feel free at my job. I'm going to feel free to build and be creative and make it awesome and do it to the best of my ability. So you have to get your loves ordered correctly, and the doing what you are made for, doing what you're supposed to do, that's the first area of the loves. Outside of, obviously, God, but it flows from there. So, I don't know, I think it's pretty simple. Is it easy? No. I mean, I've said it before. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but the Christian journey isn't really that complex. It's hard. It's really hard. Jesus is not our like study guide, like for a complex test. He's our strength. And we have faith not because our brains can't compute what we need to be doing.
Right.
We have faith because it's hard to get through it.
Yeah.
Trials, I mean, and some trials might be more complex, sure, but I think that because, and this is kind of a distinction that I think we, at TEC, particularly, I think the elders, this is one of the things, like I know they talk about this, which is how, like obviously how we read the Bible is different than how other places read the Bible, whatever, all right? Reading the Bible for what it says does give you different answers than reading the Bible for what you would like it to say. Okay, well, that's a big distinction there.
Yeah.
Reading, you actually are trying to create, if you're reading it for what you want it to tell you, you're no longer reading what it says. Because when it says, kill your sin, when it says, you can't be sinning in this. If you read it for what it says, well, that's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not very complex.
Right.
If it says, don't do that, you're like, well, okay, but what does that mean? That is a thing that you should notice. If your brain goes to, but what does that mean? You're acting like an 8-year-old whose dad just told them you can't do that. Well, what is that actually like? What does that mean, though? Like, what do you mean I can't do that? Like, I can't do like this part of it? No, I just told you what you can't do. You can't turn that into...
You can't play Xbox. Oh, so can I go play on the Wii?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
We've never said that before, ever. I never had an Xbox, so it was only the Wii.
Me neither.
That's right, because you had a Wii, and then we got a Wii.
Yeah, we had a PlayStation, like one of the really old PlayStation, but that was before I was even playing video games. So I maybe watched my brother play Spider-Man like once or twice. And then
Yeah, I think what...
it was gone.
This is a side note for anybody who's interested. Maybe leave a comment if you would really like to see this or not. I told some people a while ago that I was like, here's the thing. I don't think video games are for me. I think video games are a waste of time generally, not for everything. But then I was like, you know what? If I ever did become a video game streamer, I would stream Crossy Road. Now, I did find this. There actually is a guy,
Really?
or a couple people who have done this kind of, where they'll stream their Crossy Road games. But then I was just thinking when we were talking about the Wii, I was like, how about it's a Wii and Crossy Road channel where I stream playing Crossy Road and the Wii. If you'd like to see that, leave a comment below. If you'd not like to see it, leave a comment below.
How can we tie streaming to discipleship?
Yeah. We can have a discipleship streaming channel
That'd be so weird.
called Choice Games.
Choice Games, yes.
Yeah.
We make Christian video games.
Oh boy, no, that's not happening. There's a company that made that. There's literally a Bible video game, I
really?
think. Yeah, and you do like,
Like actual
I think it's like Bible
books of the Bible.
books, but it's like quests or something.
Wow.
I don't understand why anybody would want to play that. That's kind of like showing your kids VeggieTales. Did you watch VeggieTales growing up?
I did a little bit.
Yeah, we never did.
Not a crazy amount.
But boy, that's a thing to fire some students up. If you ever are in a situation in class and you start bringing up VeggieTales, you're going to get two reactions. You're going to yell, VeggieTales is the greatest show that we ever watched. And then you're also going to get people to say, we never watched VeggieTales.
It is the
What are you talking about?"
greatest heresy you've ever.
Yeah. People are like, my parents said it was evil. Other parents said every other TV show is evil. That's pretty much the conversation you're going to have.
Right. Yeah.
So that's fun. If you want to roll that grenade out this week, you should try that. So do your work.
Comment, leave a like.
Do your work. Feel free to obey. And also, you're not actually free to obey. We are commanded to obey, and the reason we're commanded to obey is because that serves us in the long run in a better way than if we did not obey.
Right.
So heaven and hell are good images of
Freedom versus constraint.
freedom versus constraint in terms of where freedom is coming from. So freedom coming from you just doing whatever you want. Like you don't obey, you don't do ever. Well, actually, you are
Straight to jail.
Yeah, you are constrained to the limitation of burning in hell forever. If you choose to obey and you choose to put yourself on the altar every day as a sacrifice, you get the freedom to worship the Lord every day in eternity.
Yeah. The freedom that Jesus died for.
Yes, Jesus died so as to take our burden, take our constraint of needing to die for our sins, and he did it for us. That is very freeing. That also means that we are obligated actually to obey, though.
Mm-hmm.
So we're commanded to, and if you do that, your life is just better on so many things. We could talk about a whole episode of like side effects of obeying. I actually think there's some shocking side effects of your own body. Like, what is interesting? Now, obviously, this is not always, but I think this can be for some people. My skin and body looked and felt better. So like there's a couple times I can think of where like I was really obeying and I was really not obeying. There are some big differences. Because what's important to you is generally the thing that gets hit first. So what do you care about? Well, if you're not obeying, I guarantee you, whatever the thing that you cared about was, that's not going to happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work like that for whatever reason. And obviously, there are some people who are still getting blessed. Obviously, you're still getting blessed, obviously, in various circles when you're disobeying. But some things do get taken away from you. And then some things do get better. So like personal appearance, I care about my personal appearance. And there were totally times where my skin was way worse because I was disobeying. Mm-hmm. And then there were times when I'd start obeying again in a consistent manner where skin clears up. That's weird, but it's cool. Like because again, the Lord disciplines everybody in different ways because we're not getting spanked as 20 and 21-year-olds. Boy, I'm gonna be really glad when November rolls around. I've got turning 21. I've been waiting
your whole life.
Literally, I've been waiting my whole life to be 21 because it's like when you turn 18, everybody's like, "Oh, you can do all this fun stuff." What? What do you mean? Turning 16 was better than turning 18 because I got to drive. Driving so far has been. There's actually a song called "I Wish Grandpa's Never Died" by Riley Green. It's a good song. I kind of tear up every time. Um,
Your mom.
Hi, Mom. Yeah, it's okay.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
um,
We might post that on the channel. if she
oh, we're
sends
posting it. Yeah, we'll get that. That'll be the cover image. There are only. Oh, what we're just talking about. Turning 21. Okay, here's the thing. He says, "I wish I could learn to drive again." You know, and honestly, that resonates with me so hard, dude. I loved the freedom to be able to drive pretty much wherever you want, whenever you want, dude. That was huge.
Right.
That was great. Like I'm getting like all giddy up about that because it was great. Anyways, turning 18 was kind of all right.
It is what it is.
It's cool. I'm closer to being 21. That's honestly what 18 is like. It's teasing you. It's like, oh, look at all this thing. You get to buy spray paint and vote.
Yeah, that's the.
I don't care. I want a gun. Like this is.
Well, actually, it's funny because I still get carded for R-rated movies, and it's like, dude, I look like I'm older than I'm 18. Like,
You look at 22, 23.
I probably
At
do,
least.
yeah. Especially depending on how I hold myself.
Yeah.
If I'm stuck in the Lego section, they're probably
That is a little less.
18 or 19.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, there's. Frankly, I was thinking about this the other day. Elijah Day Armand had a big persuasive speech a couple years ago about how the legal drinking age should come down to, I think he said 18.
18 maybe.
But he might have even said 16. I can't remember. And it kind of makes sense. Here's the thing. If I'm allowed to drive a vehicle, which is one of the most weaponized things actually in mass killings,
Right.
is a vehicle. If I'm allowed to drive that at, I guess 15 and a half, depending on what state you're in, 15, and I'm allowed to not get a gun until I'm 21, why? I can adopt a child. I'm allowed to adopt a child at 18, and I
18,
can't
right?
buy a thing to be able to protect my child until I'm
Right.
21? Are you kidding me? What is this? Now, granted, I have a firearm. It is not a pistol. I do not concealed carry. If you want that story, you can get that story in person. You can ask about that story. Legally, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the podcast.
I don't know.
Probably not enough people listen where that'd really be a problem, but
If you have a problem with it, you can unsubscribe and stop listening to us.
watch our ratings go way down. It's pretty hard to go from
90% decrease.
It's pretty hard to 90% decrease from like 2 though.
Right.
What is that? 1 still 50%. It's better than it was. No, so this has been a fun episode. We're almost at an hour now.
That was a pinball episode, actually.
Yeah, we're kind of everywhere. Dude, it's not a pinball episode. It's a firework episode.
Yeah.
Just in all these different directions.
Everything.
Okay, Sam. You got any 4th of July dad advice? Not necessarily like don't blow your hands off.
Don't burn your house down.
Yeah, that's not what I'm looking for, but freedom, liberty type stuff.
I had a couple, but I think I'll just settle for
Oh, he's gonna settle for this dad advice. Look out, everybody.
make sure your kids understand what their true freedoms are and not necessarily what the freedom that their country gives them. That is
Give
good.
some examples.
That is good to know, but like your true freedom of, yeah, Christ died for you. You need to obey him. Here's how you do that. And here's what living like a Christian looks like. And American freedom is tied to that. So, I mean, if they know what their true freedom are, where it comes from, how they can gain some of that or even some more of that, depending on where they're at, like, they could be a lot better humans.
Yeah, we need better humans across the board for various things.
Right.
All right, well, we made it to an hour right
right,
there.
let's go.
That was on the money when I said that. Except actually what's funny is it will not be an hour when you guys actually see the recording because I
Something.
trim off seconds in different,
Trim it. Yeah.
like at the beginning and end, so it actually won't be an hour when I said that. So I just lied to you all, but it said an hour when it was right here. Sam saw it, I saw it. So I guess that's it.
Yeah. Choice Men signing off.
Peace.